certainly start with purpose. I would say, why do you want to start a business? And if the answer is just to make money, I said, no, that's not adequate. You're not going to start a great business, and you probably are going to cause suffering in the world if you're only focusing on making money for yourself. What you want to do is to say, what are some problems that exist in the world that I can find profitable solutions for? Right? So the purpose of business is to create profitable solutions to the real problems of people and the planet. And if you can create that, and I define a purpose to be a healing purpose, which is reduce suffering in some way and bring joy into the world. Right? So find some way some place there's pain in the world and some kind of suffering that you can help alleviate, or some kind of joy that you can bring. Right? And make sure that it is connected to your own soul. So it's very important as an entrepreneur that you view the business not as a way of using other people to serve yourself, but as a way of expressing yourself in service of other people. What do I mean by that? There's something innate to each of us. In India, we call it your swabhav, your nature, right? There's something that defines you, that makes you unique, right? And you combine that with dharma, which is the righteous path. What is my swadharma? What is my unique righteous path? Which is, how would I fully express what's unique about my soul into the world? I care about justice and fairness, therefore if I want to do something in the legal field. Or I care about health and well-being, and I want to do something in the food and nutrition or healthcare field. Right? I care about things being organized and neat, and therefore I create a storage solutions company. Or I care about beauty, and all of these are important things in life, and therefore I create something that. But you have to ask yourself, does it really matter to me? And would I do this even if there was no money involved, if I didn't need money, right? That has to ultimately drive you. And then you say, okay, so this is an expression of who I am, and it's going to be of service to other people. Now, I can do that without a business. I can simply go out and express myself and serve people, but business is a way I can do that at scale. Without a business, I might be able to touch 5, 10, 20 lives, right?
That's one purpose is what you said.
So start with a purpose that matters in the world and matters to you, both, right? And if it matters to you and it matters in the world, you can bet it's going to matter to other people. And then use that. Second would be then use that purpose and the core values that go with it, right? What really matters when you think about that purpose. And use that then to attract employees. You don't just hire for skills and talent and all of that. You hire also for resonance with purpose and values, right? So if I'm Whole Foods starting out, in 1978, I want to hire people who are foodies and who care about health. Are you passionate about food? You love food, and you also care about health.
I could be incompetent.
Yeah, I mean, your skills we can teach. I mean, most skills are, of course, there's a base level that you need, but that's not your primary determinant. You determine, first of all, on the character and all of those things, but also on their resonance with the purpose, right? So they have to align with that. If I'm Patagonia, you have to care about the outdoors. You have to care about our planet. You have to be a passionate environmentalist at heart, right? If you want to work here. Now, if I take the environmentalists and put them at Whole Foods, they won't flourish. And if I take the foodie and put them at Patagonia. So again, it's not good people or bad people, it's the people for whom there's
So this is employees or employees, partners, basically
right, so everybody.
surround yourself with people,
Yeah.
stakeholders
who believe in your purpose. And especially your investors. If you're going to take outside money, many entrepreneurs make the mistake of taking money where somebody is offering them the highest valuation, right? And therefore, the largest amount of money today. That could be suicidal because ultimately you lose control of that company and they may not care about your purpose. So there has to be alignment on purpose with your investors as well as alignment on time horizon. Right? If they're looking to do a quick hit and get out, no, anything meaningful takes time to build. Right? So you have to have all of those things working together. Right? Everybody has to be inspired and motivated by your purpose. And you have to have a commitment to the well-being of all of those stakeholders. Again, it goes back to Gandhi, right? Where he talked about Sarvottam Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya is the upliftment of all. Within the context of a business, it's basically saying everybody, even my part-time employee in the store, or the warehouse, all the way up to the board of directors, everybody in my company is treated with respect and dignity, and they have a good life where they can flourish, right? As a result of being part of this business. So that's a stakeholder.
The third thing or the second step? You have also spoken a lot of care coming in this. So
Yeah.
the second was alignment to your purpose. The
Nice.
stakeholder, everybody.
Right.
The third would be do
Leadership.
it with care.
Yeah, so leadership and then culture, right? So leadership is about cultivating yourself as a conscious leader, as a Gandhian leader, right? Which means cultivating those qualities. I talk about selfless. Selfless being the description of what a conscious leader is. They've gone beyond the narrow self, but then it stands for strength. You have to develop that moral courage and personal power within yourself. You have to have energy and enthusiasm, which means you have to look after your health and well-being, because it takes a lot of energy to be a leader. You have to be rooted in love. So you have to be, your actions, every decision you make has to come from love, not fear, not greed. Too many business decisions are rooted in fear and greed.
That's
Right?
a difficult one, because if I'm going to set up a business, aren't my decisions going to be rooted on what's profitable? I have now done all the purpose stuff. I've now done the alignment. So why would I be rooting my decision based on whether it's now profitable for my company or not?
Well, it has to have a positive impact not only on the bottom line but on everybody. So you don't want to accept trade-offs. You don't say, I'm going to make a decision.
Love. That's what I'm saying. Why did love come in?
Because the root and the source of the energy of wanting everybody to thrive and prosper is love. What is love? Love is the unconditional regard for the well-being of another, the unselfish regard as well. I'm not looking for, I'm going to love you so that you can do this for me. Love is an expression of who I am as a human being. That's what we're meant to be, right? Every single thought, word, deed, and action should come from love. Even if you have to let somebody go, can you do it with love? Right? Even if you have to, pull the plug on somebody when they're dying, or whatever it might be, right? Can you do it with love? That is a great challenge. This is one of the things that we are.
You said leadership and then you said love. Are these the same thing, or?
Well, leadership should be based on love,
on love.
right?
Leadership
So
based on
it's
love.
one of the qualities. Yeah. So strength, enthusiasm, love, and flexibility. You have to be able to show up with either humor or gentle kindness or strictness, whatever it might take, right? Or wisdom, right? In the given situation. And then long-term orientation. You have to think about the consequences of your decisions, not in the immediate future or even as long as you're the leader, but even beyond your tenure as a leader, even beyond your lifetime. Right? Some of the things that we do will have long-term consequences.
Especially when starting a new company, I'm 25 years old, to have the ability to think long-term.
Yeah.
And to really, what's the benefit of that? What's the value?
Well, the benefit, you're going to create something that will endure. And you could take the expedient route of doing something today that immediately has a payback, but in the long run it's going to hurt you.
So you are actually averse to the idea of having an exit strategy for myself.
I am actually.
Yeah?
So I believe going into business with an exit strategy is like going into a marriage with an exit strategy. It may need to happen. But really we need to get committed to, because a business is theoretically immortal. A business need never die, right? So we should be looking to create enduring organizations. Yeah, they treat it like a machine or something, like a business has a soul, a business has a purpose, a business has an identity of its own, over time independent of the founders, etc. Business becomes its own thing, right? And so we have to treat it with that. And when we just buy and sell them,
But like we die, shouldn't it be dying? That's what my friend would tell me.
No, businesses don't need to die. There are companies out there that are 300-400 years old, right? If they continue to renew themselves and be relevant to the times, if they're always rooted in what is timeless.
It's a very valuable thing you're saying, that build an organization like an institution, not like a throwaway.
Well, Tatas are around for 160 years, right? Businesses need to be treated with that kind of reverence, actually. It's not just, you're not building a little part and handing it over to somebody. There are people's lives that go when you sell a company, right? Now, sometimes it does make sense to sell a company because you will achieve your purpose at scale if you do that. But you have to make sure that when you do that, those people's lives are positively impacted. Very often what happens, 20% of them will lose their jobs. All kinds of bad things also happen with many mergers, right? And so you got to look at the well-being of all of the stakeholders within that system.
Does Gandhi figure in any of these things?
Yeah, I think Gandhi is implied in all of that. Gandhi is implied in strength, in energy and enthusiasm. He worked so much on his own health and what he should eat and how he should live, in rooted in love, right? And being flexible, right? He had different facets to himself. And then we talk about long-term orientation. He
Right
knew
from
that
the beginning, we talked about purpose, alignment to purpose. Then we talked about leadership,
the well-being of all
well-being
stakeholders.
of all stakeholders,
Right.
and leadership, and
Yeah.
loving leadership.
Right. And then the emotional intelligence. So the last three are emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and systems intelligence. And again, Gandhi had those. Right. He understood himself at a deep level. He understood other people. Your language, he connected with his own being and with the beings of other people. Right. And then, of course, he cultivated deep spiritual intelligence from all the traditions, right, especially rooted in Gita. And he understood the system. It wasn't just you A causing B and you therefore do this. You recognize that's going to cause C, D, and E, and everything is connected, and you have to work on all of those levers at the same time, right? So Gandhi really embodied all of these elements that we talk about in conscious leadership. No, absolutely. A leader has to work on themselves constantly. The consciousness of the organization is a reflection of the consciousness of the leader. And if the leader gets stuck at a certain level of consciousness, so does the organization.
You say consciousness, can you share that in a way that I understand?
The purpose, the values, right? The recognizing the interconnectedness of everything, right? All of those things are reflected. It's an amplification into the organization of where the leader is, right? So why do I exist? How do I define success? What is my time horizon, right? What do I do? All of those things are questions that conscious answer is different than a traditional business. So if a leader doesn't work on themselves, if a leader has to work on their own consciousness and on their own healing, because if a leader doesn't work on their own healing, then they will create suffering in the world. If they have wounds and traumas they haven't dealt with, and they have landmines, and they get amygdala hijacks, and as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And so you have to recognize your own psyche and what are the wounds and things that you need to work on.
Important for leaders.
Right, because then you become a source of suffering for others. Otherwise, when you heal yourself, then you can create what I call a healing organization. You can actually be a place where people, employees, are physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially stronger at the end of the day than at the beginning of the day. So we're a place of healing for our employees, we're a source of healing for our customers and our communities, and we're a force for healing in society. So again, working on yourself is the most generous thing that you can do. It's not a selfish thing, right? Because the more you work on yourself, the bigger positive impact you'll have on the people that you lead. And so that has to be a very, very high priority.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.